3, 2, 1.
Greetings, viewers. Zach here with another World Building Workshops. We detail a generic world concept for writers and GMs that you're free to use and write in. As always, I'd like to thank our Ko-fi donators for making our projects happen, like Alec, Rainweaver, TJ, KJ, D-Devil, 1193, and Noops. Thanks to you and all of our other donators for all of your support. And of course, as always, we use the Pathways rule set from the Cortex tabletop game system to help guide our community to building these live on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on twitch.tv/Twisted Studios. So join us on there to jump in on the conversation. With that, we end up with a chart like this. Using this, we get the brains flowing and then we build our stories from there. And I'm about to make this chart make sense. Now, without any further ado, our town of Mistfall Springs is set in a grimdark western world, and near a waterfall deep in the mountains. A team of investigators, or players, are tasked with finding out why communication with the town is so difficult, even for towns in the Wild West era. The town itself has been recently constructed by a mining company tycoon who owns a nearby mine that supports the town. What is very apparent to our players is that people who die here don't stay dead. The tycoon has been hiring a gang of thugs to kill people in the region, and when they die here, their spirit stays and so does their body, restlessly reanimated. The reanimated corpses are used as slave labor. Spirits, however, can still roam freely, and many of the town's inhabitants are these spirits. The longer the spirits stay here, the more they themselves can become poltergeists. The mine has been built to harvest wraith quartz, a metaphysical resource that the tycoon believes could replace coal, etc. The spirits are no longer living, so what do they have need of this energy? He keeps a site open to the spirit world that takes the essences from the trapped spirits here to use as that energy. The mist is a byproduct of the constantly open gate. Prolonged exposure to the mist by living people can cause negative side effects and eventually death. The train is the one way in and out of the town. It is owned by the tycoon and can easily be shut down by the tycoon for any reason by just collapsing the tunnel. There are a number of important NPCs in this world that we're going to go over. The barman and his last chance saloon. The barman is a representation of death, who senses the disturbances of the region and is keeping a close eye on the tycoon's antics while attempting to stay as neutral as possible. Their bar is a sort of chapel to death and allows the spirits to place and interact with the living. The gravedigger, when the first peoples of the land were forcibly removed from their region, this man stayed. He tends to the graves of those who have died and is another person to help the spirits in the region affected by the tycoon. The sheriff is a non-believer of the spirits in the region, but is suffering severe health effects from the mist's exposure. Then we have a priest, a man who has seen the spirits, and the knowledge of this has driven him to drink and thus question his faith. The tycoon, our big bad. They will have an individual that speaks on their behalf. As it is the Wild West era, TVs are not common, so the real identity of the tycoon could be a mystery. They live among the people to keep an eye on things. We leaned into two options. They could be any NPC that could help the story along, or if it was decided who they were ahead of time, likely a woman, to explain their need to have a face character while their work is in its infancy. Last part, gameplay. We touched a bit on character creation. The players enter as investigators, but could even play as townsfolk looking to help the team. We discussed the ideas of having players as humans and as spirits. A player choosing as a spirit may have many advantages over a human, but it is encouraged to emphasize the fact that they will become a ghoul eventually and will turn on their allies. There were some emphasized and kind of discussed ideas of having the GM adding game mechanics in order to really emphasize this. The biggest focus we put on this subject was progression. The toy maker would be a supernatural weaponsmith of sorts. Ectoplasm from ghouls and body parts from zombies and people zombies and animal zombies from around the region could be traded in for organic weaponry and trinkets. The older the zombie, the weaker the constructed element, the less money it costs. The more fresh the zombie, the better the construction, the higher the cost. This could even spur on some dark discussions of individuals wanting fresh zombies. So fresh that they were alive earlier that day. And that about sums up the world. We're going to call this Mistfall Springs a Grimdark Western, or just a Grimdark Western. It depends if you plan on expanding on it, I guess. With that, we thank you for joining me today. Again, don't forget to support us over on Ko-fi, where you can access exclusive shows, limited time merch items, and our Discord, where you can visit our website for some Twisted Gear Studios merch and to see our regular podcasts, The Call and Spacers. Have a good day, everyone, and as always, enjoy the world.